So this is probably a one-off delivery to a safe audience. It is unashamedly part of a healing journey for me. So there's a little bit of therapy on stage, but I'm unapologetic for that. I will just see what reaction it gets and how it lands.
Great, man. I love it. I love it. I love it. Everyone, if you wouldn't mind, rounds of applause, please, for Christopher Miller.
Thank you, everyone. It's a thrill to be here, and I'd like to share a substantial part of my lived experience and my journey into expansive love. I have experienced love as mutual seduction. My wife and I met on the dance floor of a Glasgow nightclub, and we spent 3 hours cheek to cheek yelling over the music, getting to know each other. 2 weekends later, I flew to Edinburgh, and the rest is history. I have experienced love as a deep promise. On New Year's Eve, 1999, Fiona's favorite band, Texas, whose lead singer is Charlene Spiteri, were singing on the esplanade of Edinburgh Castle. And I knew that their opening song was going to be Once in a Lifetime. And that's the song I proposed to Fiona. I have experienced love as an adventure. There are 3 moments of our wedding on the 24th of February, 2001 that stick with me. The first was my wife made it snow that day, and she walked through the cathedral doors like a snow globe surrounding her as she came in through the double doors. She also did a cartwheel in her wedding dress on the dance floor. And the thing I'll remember most is at 3 a.m., we had outlasted all of our guests and we were sharing whiskey, just imagining and celebrating what a great day we had had that day. I have experienced love as earth-shattering fear. On the day that my eldest son was born, my wife's labor was very complicated. And I will always remember a health professional taking me aside to say, your child is at risk. Your wife is at risk. We need to do an emergency cesarean. About 45 minutes later, Cameron was born. He was happy and healthy. Fiona was fine. But that was a terrifying moment. But it was also full of love on that day. I have experienced love as joy and humor. My youngest son, Ross, was born on December 22nd, 2008. And the funniest part about that day, so it went very smoothly because it was a planned C-section. And the funniest part about that day was I phoned my eldest son, Cameron, who was 5 at the time, and he was with my parents in in Wellington Zoo. And when I phoned them, they dropped the phone and the phone almost went down a drain. So they almost didn't get the message that Ross had been born. But anyway, it all turned out fine, and they found out that Ross was born, and it was a great day. And the lovely thing is, Fiona recovered quickly enough that Ross and Fiona came home on Christmas Eve. So that was a lovely Christmas that year. I have experienced love as unconditional. Fiona was exceptional at unconditional love. She never played favorites and was very generous in the way she offered love to me and the boys especially, but also to all of her friends and her family around the world. I have experienced love as sacred. Yesterday was the 3-year anniversary of losing Fiona to brain cancer. It was the hardest day of my life. I will always remember holding her hand when she took her last breath. And it was shit. It was just shit. I have experienced love as completely absent. The 16 months following losing Fiona, I was on automatic pilot. I survived and I looked after my boys. but it was a brutal, brutal 16 months. And I don't remember a lot of love being present in my life at that time. And I certainly didn't have a lot of purpose for those 16 months. I have experienced love as my identity. Thought Leaders, when I joined in November 2022, was a big lifesaver for me, especially this community. Fiji 23 was exceptional. And Matt challenged me to think deeper about fish. And what I realized during Fiji was that fish, fulfillment, inspiration, success, and happiness is how we live our lives. But love is why we live our lives. And love became a big piece of my identity following Fiji 23. My big word when I joined Thought Leaders was courage, and courage served me very, very well. When I, on March 6, 2023, at 2:30 in the morning, I realized that my big word had changed from courage to love. And on the 1st of July of this year, I launched a book about my love of strengths, a book about my love of entrepreneurship, and I launched my Let's Talk Love card deck, which is intended to be a practical tool to bring love to the world. On the 1st of August, so in a few days' time, I am going to be launching Expansive Love, whose URL is expansive.love. And that is a virtual global organization whose goal is to lift love on the planet at this time. Thank you.